that new whip. Hey, hope that do drip.
And we're live.
Welcome to Bet Records, where we talk about hot topics, ideas, and all the shit you really want to hear.
What's going on, Bet Records fan? It is my favorite time of the year. Yes, it is here. It is International Fight Week. I don't know if you guys are as hyped as I am. I'm a diehard UFC fan. I'm the UFC analyst for this channel, and that is why I'm getting the nod, the green light, to give the intro for this episode. Usually I don't get that honor, but now I got it.
The UFC guru. Here we are.
We got Trenton, we got Qtip, and we got the newbie, the guy who cuts my hair, the guy who always makes sure that I always get a second date because of my hair, Victor Barnes.
Yes, sir. Hey,
Absolutely.
Hey, Justin.
Hell yeah.
You want a shotgun beer?
You know what? It's Tuesday.
Fuck it.
Fuck no.
Fuck it. Hey.
Shotgun right now.
Shotgun, yeah, fuck it.
Sharp.
Make this episode spicy.
Oh man, this is crazy. We're going right now. Just hang on, Bet Records fans. Hold on, we got business to take care of.
Got some business to do. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you're doing that. Hit the subscribe button if you're listening to us on Spotify podcasts or even Apple Podcasts. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Green heart on Spotify. You know the drill. We're just cracking open these beers, and we're going to get into this exciting card for this weekend. We got a ton of fights. A lot of undercards with some big names here. We got Sugar Sean as well, my personal favorite. So...
I'm so sorry.
Had a little spillage. Don't apologize.
It's a Tuesday, you know. It's almost Friday, right?
Yeah, you know what? International Fight Week. So I gotta cheers to this.
It's gonna be a late fight, so yes, sir.
Thanks for coming on, brother.
Cheers.
There you go. Who's going to finish first?
Let's see here. Oh, Justin.
Got me beat.
It was pretty close. I was going to say, we're not outside, so you can't throw on the ground to see how much is left, because I think Justin's got a half beer.
I'm gonna be honest.
I have a little foam in there.
I haven't shotgun beer in a minute, but
I haven't shotgun beer in a long time.
for like a while, not bad. As you know, I lied. I shotgun last week, but like I was prime time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Usually I don't shotgun. I can't do it anymore because I've done so much damage to my body in these 5 years of college. But on a night like this, it's
Someone got like a towel. Spilled a little bit.
There
it is.
Solid 7.
There we go.
Jump into this card.
So, are we starting from bottom up this time, Justin?
Yep.
or
Let's
what,
look at
huh?
let's look at the early prelims on the fights I'm really interested in.
Sounds good.
Ooh, still got the burps. So let's start on the early prelims.
Right.
First one that really catches my eye, no pun intended,
No pun intended, huh?
is Jessica Evil Eye taking on the young stud, Macy Barber. You know we have Macy Barber. She's a favorite.
Sure.
She's minus 260. And Jessica Eye's kind of had a little string of bad luck lately. Ever since her loss to Valentina at UFC 236 back in Chicago, I think that was June of 2019. I remember watching that where she lost by a stunning head kick. Ever since then, she's kind of been, she's like win some, lose some. And then you have Macy Barber, a young, promising prospect with a 10-2 record going up against Jessica Eye with a 15-10 record. I'm going to go towards Macy Barber in this fight. You know, the youth and the record, the hype, I believe that's going to be enough to take down Jessica Eye.
I think you got to pick the Barber. We got one in the studio. I mean, you got to go with the Barber in this case here tonight.
See, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not really UFC knowledgeable yet. Soon, if I get enough appearances on this my podcast, I'll be an expert. But I'm just gonna look up Vegas odds. I just want to see. What
I even remember, I was a couple beers deep, a couple shots deep in the last pay-per-view, and I got a text from you midway through the card saying, "I can't wait for the next cut. I've been watching these fights, and it's incredible so far." I was like, "My man."
Yep.
And it was a good cut.
Oh,
all right, let's take a look at the odds. So let's take a look. So, it says, fresh out for a second straight victory just 2 months ago, Barber has emerged as a strong negative 280 favorite on the UFC 276 odds going into Saturday night's matchup at T-Mobile. Conservatively, eyes look to snap at 3-fight slide with tags as a 200-plus underdog. And I believe that's for Jessica I for odds.
Yeah, ever since the Valentina loss, Jessica I she looks very hesitant,
She's not as confident, huh?
Because I remember in that Valentina fight, it's like, okay, she's going to give her problems. Even at the weigh-ins, Valentina's nickname is the Bullet. Jessica I showed up with a bulletproof vest. Kind of like, for social media, likes this, that, and she got knocked out.
So I actually got the prediction. They're saying Macy Barber by KO, TKO, or DQ. The odds are 395.
Ooh.
395.
They're a hard Barber. Okay.
Yep. So.
All right. And now that's the early prelims. Just so you know, I'm focusing on the fights that really catch my attention.
No, Robbie Lawler, huh?
There's some incredible talent on this card, but I want to focus on the ones that really catch my eye and say, whoa, okay, I'm putting my beer down, putting my phone down, and I'm watching. Next up on the prelims, Donald Cowboy Cerrone steps in on a 2-week notice to take on UFC legend Jim Miller. Both of them are tied for the UFC record for most wins all time. Donald Cowboy Cerrone was scheduled twice this year to take on Joe Lozon, both legends. They were originally supposed to meet at the pay-per-view, Gaethje versus Oliveira, back in May. And unfortunately, the day of the fight after Cowboy weighed in, he got food poisoning and was unable to fight. So then it was scheduled for the UFC Fight Night in Austin as the co-main event.
Make sure you're cooking your chicken right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then they were scheduled for the co-main event at UFC Fight Night Austin a couple weeks back, and Joe Lozon got hurt. Or he was either hurt. I think he got sick instead. No, actually it was his knee, now that I remember it. And it was called off again, and Dana White said, yeah, we're not making this fight again. We're not doing a Khabib-Ferguson where you keep making the fight and it gets canceled 5 times. That is a fact, by the way.
So the odds are for this match. The odds actually have Miller in favor at 210, correct, while Cowboy is at 180 plus.
So those aren't an odd like that. It's not like a heavy favorite. That's like for bettors. It's like okay, like it's close enough to the point where like
it's
okay,
really
anything can happen. But with fighting, it just takes one punch.
Yep.
One
wrong move.
It takes.
Yep.
That's all it takes. And Cowboy's on his last rodeo. He's been talking about retiring, and what better way to finish it off with a fight with the guy you are tied with for the most wins in UFC history?
Yeah. You think if he pulls this one out, he's done? Think Cowboy retires after this one if he gets the W?
I think so.
All right.
I really do. He's a father. He loves his family. And, even though he never won the belt, he has nothing to be ashamed of. His career, it's legendary. He'll be in the Hall of Fame one day.
Is it kind of bad that I only know of Cowboy ever since he got his ass beat by Connor?
By Connor in 40 seconds.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
That was a mismatch.
I mean, the only reason why I brought that up is because I won like $50 from like that match.
Hey, there you go.
I mean, it's just, I'm going to be honest, at the end of my time, because I think this was like, 2019 or 2018?
It was the beginning of 2020, January.
That's right. Yeah, it was for shit. That's right. But yeah, I just know it was just hard to bet against Connor, so.
Even when they made that fight, I was like, Connor, what are you doing? Like, Cowboy had gotten the shit kicked out of him in his last 2 fights by Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson badly. Like, Gaethje knocked him completely unconscious, like, beat him up, and the ref didn't even step in to, like, save him. He took so much unnecessary damage. And then the Ferguson fight at UFC 236 in Chicago, his eye completely swelled up, and they had to stop the fight going into the 3rd round. And he said he wanted to fight Cowboy. And I was like, Connor, what are you doing? Like, even that fight for Connor, it was just like, it was a respect fight. It was the first guy that Connor fought, who he didn't trash talk him. He was very respectful to him.
Right, yeah, I remember really not hearing much from that fight.
Yeah, and I even watched that press conference. Like, Connor was being, like, respectful to him. Like, he was even saying, like, Donald is a solid competitor. He's very solid. Very solid.
Is this Yoda or Connor?
Connor.
Oh, sorry.
Like, being very respectful, this and that. But with a guy like Cowboy, you have to respect. Absolutely. I want to take Cowboy in this fight.
Yeah.
My money's on him.
All right.
It's just the perfect end to a career. But at the end of the day, it's up to him if he wants to retire.
Yep.
All right. All right. We're going into the main card.
All right.
Opening up the main card, we got the people's fight. The fight of the night for the people. Pedro Munoz versus Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Yeah.
Okay, the fact that you just mentioned O'Malley, I don't care. I got him winning.
Yep. We don't even need to hear the breakdown.
it's
Sugar
just
Sean.
it's just like, as soon as
I
you
just wanna see
mention
Sugar Sean
O'Malley,
win,
I got O'Malley.
He's the people's
Like,
favorite.
I just like I know like it just sounds like arrogant, but like that dude is special. I don't even watch UFC like that at all, but like this dude has been kicking ass.
Does Pedro have a chance, Justin? What's your
Yes, he
take?
does. Yes, he does.
And why?
If you've known Pedro, he's gone with the best of the best. He knocked out Cody Garbrandt at UFC 235, which actually isn't really saying anything because Cody Garbrandt. No offense, because I actually met Cody Garbrandt. I don't want to be disrespectful towards him. He's a really cool guy. It was a highlight reel knockout. Pedro Munoz has been in there with the best. He lost a very close decision against Hall of Famer Frankie Edgar, who's still going on. His last fight, split decision loss to the greatest bantamweight of all time, Dominic Cruz. This isn't going to be a walk in the park with O'Malley. I don't think O'Malley's going to walk in and make it look easy because O'Malley's with the real dogs now.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
If
That's
you ask,
facts.
He's proved it.
if you ask me, O'Malley's just been given easy fights. He
mean,
really has just unranked guys, and he's
But
saying
like he's been mopping them though.
easily.
It's just like
But it's like Hamzat with Gilbert Burns. He had problems with him.
Sure.
I think O'Malley is going to have problems with Pedro Munoz. Don't underestimate that guy. Pedro Munoz is the most underrated guy in the bantamweight division. He has a chin. He hits like a fucking truck. I think that O'Malley's going to need to make some adjustments against him. It's a 3-round fight. I still think O'Malley comes out on top.
I got O'Malley. According to Vegas, the odds have Pedro at 220 plus, while O'Malley is at O'Malley is at 260 negative.
Correct. And
So, I mean, Vegas is saying Malley's going get this win. I'm only saying Malley because look, like I said, I've only been watching UFC. So my UFC resume is like I took like a break from it, but when I used to watch it, it used to be like Iceberg, Foster Griffin, Andrew Silva Silva. Back when the shit was like really fucking violent.
the OGs.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect now to back then because.
But those are the people who made it into what it is today.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Even these guys have even said, so I'm the biggest UFC fan you'll ever know. These guys even said if they never met me, they would never be talking about UFC.
Nope.
Fair enough. But going back to the Vegas odds, it looks like O'Malley is definitely the favorite. And I think he's just the favorite based off of his resume by just mopping the comp.
Absolutely, and rightfully so. Like I said, Pedro Munoz is very underrated. So don't be surprised if he pulls an upset.
Sure.
All right.
I will not be surprised. Obviously, if it happens, I'll be like, whoa, but at the same time, I won't be like, never saw that coming.
Overly shocked.
So
Okay.
I gotta ask you, if there was a upset like Pedro beats Sean, how do you think it would end in fashion?
How so?
Knockout,
Are you
submission.
saying knockout, submission, possible DQ,
Decision.
O'Malley? Just how would you see it end? And also how many rounds too?
Tough to say because it is a 3-round fight. It's not a 5-round fight.
Right.
Listen, anybody can get knocked out. You get one good punch,
Oh,
You
true.
can get taken down.
Yep.
I'm just saying, based off of this fight, like, what do you like? Just like, what do you predict?
I could see. So let's say there is an upset. I could see Munoz knocking out O'Malley. Because Munoz got hands. Like, listen, I know everyone's saying like, "Oh, the Cody Garbrandt knockout. He has no chin." If you actually watch that fight, like you look at the punch he threw at Garbrandt, it was a powerful fucking punch. He dropped Dominic Cruz too in their first fight. Cruz barely got out. He was wobbling after the first round. Cruz in the 3-round fight won a split decision, which in a lot of fashion people thought that Pedro won. So, like I said, we'll find out Saturday night.
Yep.
Fair, okay. Fair
We
enough.
will. We
So
will.
we're moving on. So,
Oh wait, one last question. What color hair do you think O'Malley's gonna have?
so Munoz is from Brazil, so I'm gonna say he's going green and blue because
Yeah.
I remember
That's
when
disrespectful.
he fought Cheeto. When he fought Cheeto, he dyed his hair in the Ecuador colors, and he lost.
That's funny.
But you know, he still doesn't accept that loss. You know, whenever those times Bruce Buffer introduced him, he's like, something went, or excuse me, hold on. He said like 15 wins, 1 loss. Matt's like, no, 0. You lost.
Them.
Just take it on the chin. So we're moving up on the main card.
All right.
So, last week's, there made some headlines. So Misha Tate versus Lauren Murphy
That's canceled, right?
was canceled the other day for undisclosed reasons.
Really?
So, moving up to the main card is the legend, the powerful, the future UFC Hall of Famer, Ruthless Robbie Lawler, taking on Ryan Barbanera. You know, when they first announced the card, they said Robbie Lawler's going to be on the prelims. I kind of raised my eyebrow at that.
Yeah.
Because Robbie Lawler, like, as soon as they say Robbie Lawler main event, I'm tuning in no matter what.
Right.
That guy, violence. It's one thing I love about a certain fighter, it's violence. Robbie Lawler is the definition of violence.
Sure.
He's fallen off the cliff a little bit. You know, he's run into some really tough guys. His last fight at back in September for the Volkanovski Ortega card, he snapped a losing streak by fighting Nick Diaz, who had come off a 6-year layoff. And I even watched that fight. I was like, Robbie looks good. You know, there was a bunch of analysts saying that, oh, Nick looks really good for a guy with 6-year layoff. I disagree. Like, he looked terrible. And that was their second fight. I'm going to say Ruthless Robbie Lawler comes back and wins it. I'm a big fan of Robbie Lawler.
Sure.
He is... my coach who trained me in Muay Thai, this and that, a couple of years back, he said, I met Robbie Lawler before. The most humble guy. If you ran into him on the streets, this and that, just be like a normal guy. It's just like somebody, you know, who's behind you in the line to get a coffee. Just a normal guy to talk to. That's what I love. Like, you would look at somebody, and then you think, oh, a normal guy, and then they tell you that they're a professional MMA fighter. You're like, wait, what?
Sure.
Kind of like Ben Askren. You're just like, what?
He's a joke. It's fine.
So according to Vegas, Robbie is at a negative 136, while Byron is at plus 108.
Yeah.
So pretty close.
I'm leaning Lawler for the
I would
power.
Marshall Lawler probably has
All right.
the matchup.
Let's move on to the next one. We have
Sure.
this fight is for the number 1 contender in the middleweight division. The winner of this fight will get the next title shot, pending if Israel Adesanya does beat Jared Cannonier. We have Big Mouth Sean Strickland facing off against the only man to knock out Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira.
Damn.
So this fight, I'm really going to be... My eyes are going to be glued to the TV for this one because Sean Strickland's been making some noise. This guy's a psycho. He's crazy. He talks shit during the fights. He got banned from Twitter. He got banned from Twitter because, you know, the whole transgender athlete shit. And, like, he ended up saying, like, a tweet something saying, it's on one of our past episodes. He, like, said, oh, yeah, listen, you nutless trannies.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he got banned from Twitter for it.
Yep.
He's a little-
Now I remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's bad.
Yeah.
So, this guy has no filter.
Nope.
He will say whatever the fuck he wants. He doesn't care.
Shout out America, the First Amendment.
Absolutely, but sometimes he does take it too far, but that's why I love about him. He does nothing to me is just more funny than someone who doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't. That's why I'm a fan of Sean Strickland. But he is going up against Alex Pereira. He has only been in the UFC for, I think he's only had one fight in the UFC where he won by knockout, and he's jumping up the ladder. And if he wins this fight, he will get a title shot. And if Israel Adesanya wins, he will be facing him. He is the only guy to knock Israel Adesanya unconscious and send him to a place where time doesn't exist. Back when Adesanya was in kickboxing overseas, he knocked him unconscious. Adesanya needed an oxygen mask.
Jeez.
So Adesanya's been talking lately about this guy. He's like, yeah, it happened, this and that. You can brag about that, but once we get in the cage and do this, it's a different story. But
Yep, it's different.
But it's different because he's saying in the cage, like, are you gonna wrestle him? Because I've never seen you wrestle
It's true.
in the UFC, and this guy beat you twice in kickboxing. He beat you decisively by decision, and he sent you to the Shadow Realm and won.
The Shadow Realm.
This is a really tough one to call
Yeah,
because
seems like it.
The odds are really fucking close.
yeah,
Keyword, I don't like saying like that exaggerated, but it's close. Sean Strickland, 105 negative. Alex, 115 negative.
Oh, damn.
It is
Yeah,
close.
coin flip.
Neck and
Coin
neck.
flip.
Yep.
Damn.
Justin, what do you think? How many rounds? What's going to be the result?
So
Does
it's
it
a
go to
three-
decision?
So it's a 3-round fight.
Okay.
Yep.
This is really tough because Strickland is a kickboxer at heart.
Sure.
So is Pereira. When you mash those two together, it always
Violence.
yeah, depending
Violence.
because when you usually hit those two styles together, it usually goes to a decision that cancels it out. Like, perfect example, Jermaine Durandamine and Holly Holm back at UFC 209, I believe. It ended with Jermaine Durandamine winning by decision, but there was some controversy because of, late hits after the bell. Point should have been taken away. This is the one fight where I can confidently say I don't know.
Really? Damn.
Because Sean Strickland is a psycho. That guy is nut crazy.
But UFC guru, you got to pick one.
Also, I'm gonna just be honest. Anyone I know with like the last name of a Strickland is just instant violence. I don't know.
Fun fact about Sean Strickland: he was a neo-Nazi.
Oh Jesus! Well,
He was
There you
raised.
go.
He was raised by his abusive grandfather,
That's just-
who believed in those racist ideologies and praised them on him. And Strickland got out of those views by befriending minorities, hearing their points of view, and now he doesn't believe in that anymore. He hates it. I mean, he still says douchebag things.
Unless he's in the octagon.
Yeah, I mean, if you hear like look up on YouTube like videos of him talking during fights, it's like this guy's a fucking psychopath.
Jeez.
Because even when he's in training, he's like talking shit to his sparring partners, like, come on, you winning, come on, come on, beat me, give me this and that.
I mean,
It's a really tough one to call for that. If
I
I really had to pick, I think I'm leaning Strickland.
Strickland it
Because
is.
he's ranked number 4 and Pereira isn't even ranked. But again, this guy beat Israel Adesanya at his own game in kickboxing. So he is a really good striker. And the only reason I would say that maybe Pereira wins is because of destiny.
Sure.
He's beaten Adesanya twice in kickboxing. If he wins this, then he gets a shot against Adesanya.
He's got to get the
for the
chance.
third time in MMA.
And that would be a great pay-per-view title shot, honestly.
This is maybe irrelevant, but I know when you said, like, Strickland's a psycho, like, are we talking, like, comparison to that one kickboxer? I forgot his damn name, but he's from, like, the Czech Republic. He used to be, like, a former, like SWAT,
Mirko Krokop?
yeah. Are we talking, like, that type of psycho, or, like, what type of psycho are we
Well,
talking?
Mirko Krokop has actually killed somebody.
Well, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, when we're talking, like, psycho, are we talking, like do you actually, like, kill someone? Like...
So Mirko
This is
Krokop,
crazy.
he's an MMA legend. He didn't really pan out in the UFC. His prime was really in Pride FC.
Right.
I think it was left leg sends you to the hospital, right leg sends you to the hearse. I think that was the old saying because
Jeez.
Mirko Krokop's head kicks.
The only reason why I brought that up is because when someone uses the word to do the psycho, that's the first person I think about is someone like Mirko Krokop that actually literally murked someone. So I'm not sure if Sean is on like I said, I know it's irrelevant, but I don't know if Sean is on like the same level of like that insanity where he's gonna like kill someone. But
No, he has literally said in interviews, I don't have a problem if I kill somebody in the octagon.
Sure.
He's on video
Shit.
saying that. And here's a video of him talking during a fight.
Also, excuse my ignorant. Oh, go on.
It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Basically, like Kevin Holland, but even more crazy. Give you a chance to win. Oh no, he's being disrespectful as fuck. Supposed to being the shit out of him too.
So here's the only thing with that when he's talking shit. Now there's gonna be fans in the octagon, or fans in the arena. So now we're not really gonna hear that because that was in the Apex where no fans were allowed.
Oh, yeah.
That is the only reason why I love like. I'm not gonna lie. So UFC was like the only really sports that was going on during COVID, and I actually started watching.
They
more.
were the first sport to come back, and they were the first sport to have fans come back.
And since I got tired of watching like NBA bubble highlights and fucking like NFL, not even bubble, like NBA highlights and also like NFL highlights, I started watching UFC. I remember one of the first fights I saw was like fucking Yakeem with like that spin kick, and you can hear the connection. I was like,
Jeez, yeah.
holy shit, this is. I'm starting to watch this again. So.
I'm telling you, man, UFC it's becoming mainstream now.
Oh, for
Oh,
sure.
All
I'm
these
like, shit,
people-
like, I'm all for
I
it.
have so many people in my friend group, so I became a UFC fan back in 2017. The first fight I ever watched was UFC 218, Aldo versus Holloway 2. And after I watched that, I was hooked.
I got two buddies that would love to be on this podcast. Shout out Jared Kuhn and Hunter Jungward.
Sure.
They're also
Lots to get
both.
them on.
I'm telling you, they're probably the closest thing to UFC Guru because they really keep up with it like a lot. Like
Next.
I'm saying, like from like weigh-ins to the post conference and the pre conferences to like the actual main card, they are hooked on it. So.
Sounds like a couple guys I would get along with really well.
Oh, say less. I'll try to get mine if I get a chance.
Next pay-per-view, we'll have them on.
But going on, so this goes. So you're not dodging this question. Who you got my weighing between the two Strickland and Alex?
Oh, you said Strickland.
You said
I'm
Strickland?
leaning towards Strickland.
Strickland. Okay.
I don't know, but I'm not 100% confident that he's gonna win because Pereira.
Never know.
So-
Never know.
Because you're having kickboxer versus kickboxer, so it can go any way.
So between Strickland and Pereira, how you think the fight will like end?
I honestly see that being fight of the night.
So like end by decision.
Decision?
Yes,
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
wow. All right.
I could see that.
Fair enough.
Shit.
All right, well that's what we have for that one. Moving on to the co-main event, we have the trilogy. A lot of people don't see the reason for it. We have the UFC featherweight champion, the number 2 pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC, Alexander the Great Volkanovski, facing off against his familiar foe, who he shared the octagon with twice and won both times in very close fashion, Max Blessed Holloway. You know, it's really crazy because this is the first time it's ever happened. Or no, actually, it's the second time it ever happened where a fighter beat their opponent twice and they're getting a trilogy. The first one that I remember was Tito Ortiz versus Ken Shamrock. And that was the third time. It was basically just like, you know, like, let's get pay-per-views, this and that. It wasn't even for a title. This is crazy because I actually the other night rewatched the first fight between them, and I remember where I was because it was the first fight between Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington. It was the co-main event. I was in my hotel at Virginia Beach while my family was out at the bars. I was like, I'm sitting watching this fight because I'm a Colby fan. And I was sitting there watching the co-main event. I was like, Holloway's unstoppable. But I always said, Volkanovski's a different animal. I think he's going to give Holloway problems. He ended up winning that fight by decision. And even when the bell went off and said final round, I was confident Volkanovski won. He ended up winning, taking the belt for Max. Immediate rematch in the summer. And their second fight was on the first Fight Island card. And they rematched. And I thought Holloway won that fight, but judges saw it a different way. I'm glad I'm not a judge because that's really tough. And you know, I'm not opposed to Max getting that third shot because when I was at work one day, I got the notification the card on my birthday was going to be Max versus Volkanovski 3. I was like, you know what? Who else? Like, seriously, who else in the featherweight division? You know, and then it got canceled because Holloway got hurt.
Sure, right.
And then they said Zombie, and I was like, yeah, it sounds about right. And instead, it was Covington Masvidal on that card. I was like, okay, yeah, Colby's my favorite fighter. Masvidal's a G. I'd love to see that. And then it got postponed, and Volkanovski fought on the card right after that against Zombie and beat the fuck out of him.
Shit.
And even before that, beat the fuck out of Brian Ortega. And back in November, it was a fight night. It was Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez, and Holloway did what he does best, beat the fuck out of everybody with volume.
Nice.
And after he lost to right after he lost to Volkanovski the second time, last January, he fought against Calvin Kattar, and he set the record for most strikes landed in a fight.
Shit.
And just pieced him up. And I was thinking to myself, like, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to a third fight, even though Volkanovski beat him twice. Who else? Really, who else? Like, I know you guys aren't UFC fans, but just think, who else could challenge Volkanovski right now?
So do you even think it's really worth him to fight a third time if he's going to win?
Yes, it is. It's not guaranteed.
It's not.
It's not guaranteed. Max Holloway is an animal. This guy, I don't know if any of the viewers play UFC 4, but on featherweight, Volkanovski's a 4.5 stars. Max Holloway's a 5-star.
Oh, interesting.
So, this fight,
It's got a chance.
you know, when I look at the improvements of Volkanovski and Holloway since they last met, I've seen way more improvement out of Volkanovski than Holloway. You know, the two guys Holloway fought, Yair and Calvin Kattar, they're incredible competitors. But Volkanovski, the beating he put on Brian Ortega, the beating he put on Zombie, and Zombie just quit. I see Volkanovski finishing Holloway.
Shit.
I could see him knocking him out. Volkanovski's on a tear right now. This guy just looks incredible. Because when Holloway was champion, it was just like, like he'd take you all 5 rounds, just quit. Couple exceptions, obviously Frankie Edgar, he took him all the way. Jose Aldo, he knocked him out twice.
Yeah.
And now Jose Aldo's down at bantamweight. Jose Aldo's the greatest featherweight of all time, in my opinion. He did that. But I don't know. I've just seen more improvement out of Volkanovski. I believe he's going to finish him. But,
Make it 3-0.
yeah.
So, according to Vegas, Volkanovski has a favorite at negative 190, while Holloway is at plus 160.
Oh, it's a little bit more split than I would have thought, but with the UFC ratings as well, I mean, I suppose it makes sense if they're both, top-notch fighters, but in a third match, I wouldn't think it would change from the past two.
So the reason Volkanovski won the first fight is I was rewatching it the other night, and he just landed on those leg kicks, took out Holloway's weapon, because Holloway's biggest weapon is his jab. If you take out his lead leg, your jab's not going to be as effective.
Yep.
He did incredible in that first fight. As soon as it was over, people were like, oh, Holloway won. No, Volkanovski won. And then in the second fight, it was closer than the first one. I thought, my personal opinion, I thought Holloway won the second one. I remember DraftKings gave a refund to people who betted on Holloway.
Surprising.
Really?
Yeah.
No. Why is that?
Because so many people thought he got robbed.
Damn.
I didn't even know that was even like a thing. I always thought Vegas odds were if you lost, you lost.
You would think, yeah.
But
No, I mean, I guess
that's
there's a
really
real,
that's really
dissenting
interesting.
opinions, yeah.
And I'm also just saying that based off the results. I mean, you wouldn't expect people to anyone that bet on the Bills and Chiefs game like last year. You wouldn't think people got their money back from the fucking Bills game because they would have been quote unquote been robbed during OT. I don't want to get too into the whole NFL thing, but it's just I just never knew that was a thing where people got their money back from a bet.
Right.
I always thought after the game is done, that's the final score. And
Right.
that's the final result.
It's very rare.
So if I'm going to give my official prediction for Holloway versus Volkanovski 3, I think it's going to go 5 rounds, but I think Volkanovski's going to finish it in the final round. I believe we're going to have another
Final
fight of the night.
round, what fashion ending?
Knockout.
Ooh, okay.
I think so. The two times those guys met, just incredible. Some of my favorite fights of all time is just watching those two guys go at it in their prime when they should be fighting. I think they're going to put another spectacular show, but I think Volkanovski's going to get the job done this time and actually put an exclamation point on it.
Sounds good.
So now, we move into the main event of the evening. We have...
Before you do the main event, shotgun another beer.
Bro, stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
My fault. I'm just being in.
Bro,
this
you
here
try.
at this point.
Bro, do you not want me to give my final prediction for the main event?
I mean, I kind of want to see that while you shotgun a beer.
Yeah. So.
Let's
Main
finish
event.
it. You
Fair
can
enough,
do
fair
one
enough,
to
fair
celebrate.
Main event. We have the number 3 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Israel, the last style bender, Adesanya,
The anime
taking
character.
on the challenger, Jared Cannonier, who's coming off a spectacular knockout of Derek Brunson back in February in Houston. I will not lie. Back in February, if you look at the episodes, I thought Brunson was going to win. I really did. I thought the wrestling was going to be too much. And I rewatched it last night, and Brunson did get him down. He did his thing. He dropped him in the first round. But then in the second round, Cannonier's power, he hit him with a couple shots where in the second round I was rewatching it. While I was watching, I was even saying to Josh, Brunson looks like he's drunk driving. He's wobbling, this and that. I was like, that just shows the power of Cannonier. Then he ended up finishing it with some devastating elbows. But he's facing a stylistic fighter, kickboxing precise, Israel Adesanya. This man, who can compete with this man? He is 20-1. His only loss was when he moved up to light heavyweight to become double champ against Jan Blachowicz. And in that fight, he was just big brothered by the bigger guy. Blachowicz weighed in at 205. Adesanya weighed in at 201. And it was basically, I remember we were talking about it. It was basically like Josh was saying that it was like if me and Chris wrestled. Like, there's just nothing I could physically do.
Makes sense. Do we got Vegas odds for this one as well?
I do. So I actually had to do a little bit of a math because I actually got 3 different money line odds. And I just basically just rounded up the my scores. Adesanya is favored by -400, while Jared is at plus 300.
Wow.
Okay.
So that's pretty split.
Wait, sorry, what?
-400 and 300? No.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. No, you're right. My bad. So -400 for Adesanya, plus 300 for Jared. I know I said it close, but I was thinking too far ahead. So on bet 360 they have him at -400 and plus 300, and then DraftKings Sportsbook is at -750 and a plus 280. So I kind of did the math wrong, but I just rounded them up. So it's pretty split, but seems like Israel seems to be the one to win this one.
Absolutely. You know, and it's crazy because for the past year, Israel has always been saying, I want to fight Cannonier. I want fresh blood, this and that. But at the pay-per-view back in Abu Dhabi when the main event was Khabib versus Justin Gaethje, Cannonier was in the co-main event against Robert Whittaker. And even before that, Israel was saying, I want to fight Cannonier because I respect his style, I respect his power, I love a challenge. And unfortunately, Cannonier lost that fight by decision to Whittaker, so it was kind of put on hold. Now Israel's finally getting his wish. He gets fresh blood. He's beaten Whittaker twice, he's beaten Marvin Vettori twice, and he's beaten Yoel Romero. It's finally happening. Let's see, because now Israel's fighting a really powerful striker. You know, people said Costa, even in the Costa fight when that first happened, I even said Adesanya is going to run right through him. Because I believe Costa's too reckless for a guy like Adesanya, and he knocked him out in the second round. Prediction for this fight, Adesanya is going to win. I think he's going to knock him out cold.
All round.
I do have one question. Do you think Adesanya is going to kind of slither into this fight as what he typically does?
What do you mean by slither?
So basically just trying to like fatigue him and basically just running around like the ring.
Wear him out a little bit.
I think that's what's
Like a Romero fight?
Pretty much. I mean, at least every time I watch Adesanya, it seems like he's not really aggressive. It seems he's more like he just wants to very patient for the most part. Which, as a viewer and as someone who has watched him a decent amount, the shit's boring. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yep.
But
the
also,
Romero fight was really bad.
But also, again, and we're talking like in the perspective of Adesanya, it's a smart strategy, and also it gets you the win.
Yep.
And you also have to remember those fights. He's fighting headlining International Fight Week with a card like this, so he has hype behind him to go in and put on a great performance.
Yeah, mind you, I'm just speaking as a spectator. It's kind of like the same reaction when I watch Manny and Pacquiao fight. The shit was just boring. But I get what Floyd was trying to like do. He was just trying to wear him out.
But that's Floyd's style, defensive.
But like, could you make the same argument for Adesanya?
But that's MMA compared to boxing.
I mean, it's still the same strategy.
I guess.
Gassing them.
I believe Adesanya by decision.
Gotcha.
I think so, because I can't remember the last time Cannonier was knocked out. I don't know if he's ever been. Maybe once, but it was TKO. I can't think he's ever been like KO'd viciously.
So if Adesanya can't knock him out, you think you think the dice is just gonna be able to roll in Adesanya's favor by just wing and decision?
I believe. I mean, against Yoel Romero.
He's a pretty excellent fighter.
Gotcha.
But I could be wrong too, because
one wrong move and it's over.
One punch, one kick changes everything.
I mean,
I believe Adesanya by decision.
Yep.
Adesanya, final card of the night. Anything to add before we finish this
It
one?
all goes down Saturday, July 2nd, International Fight Week in Las Vegas, Nevada at T-Mobile Arena. Catch it on pay-per-view, ESPN Plus. Be sure to purchase that.
Perfect.
Thank you for tuning in. We love all our viewers. Be sure to watch those fights. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe and keep up with us for more UFC content.
Hell yeah. Peace out.
Appreciate all the fans for tuning in. Catch you next time. Peace.
Peace.